responsibilities, as you know, can be huge. You have to be brave, you have to be courageous to take on those responsibilities and to step forward and lead. Engineers as a profession aren't usually the extroverts in the room. We prefer to concentrate on the technical. In the business of organising a business, you need to have financial acumen. You have to understand what drives growth in the business, and you have to be able to communicate and talk about that to those around you. So I see these as the 3 stages of career progression, and those hurdles as significant ones that you need to be able. So I've talked a little bit about making false assumptions. We make false assumptions when we don't get input from other people about how we're going. 360 reviews of your performance are important to understand how others perceive you. And how others perceive you dictates how they will interact with you. It is important. Fruit, not from our full talent pool. So few women engineers coming through in our talent pool. And I'd like to leave you with my view of leadership. Leadership's about vision, seeing clearly. It's about having a purpose and being ignited by that purpose. The energy with which you espouse your purpose is what encourages people to follow you and buy into that purpose. And it's also about influencing to add real value, real impact to the communities in which we serve.
CVs for success in executive roles and higher management. Another way of thinking about that is that I've got to work 2 things here. I've checked my CV, and if you can't see how good I am, I'm not sure what's wrong, because it's like slapping you in the face with a wet fish. It's so obvious. And that's how I tend to think about my own CV when I'm applying for a job. Is it so obvious in that document there that I'm the right person for the job? And we'll talk about that more later. And also that I move on 1 too long. I'm the best person for the job, so give it to me, okay? But there's a lot more to it, as we know, as we go forward. Now, on to our introductions. As we were talking about before, I'm Anne Keeley. And then they rank them all. So I'll read out the list to you and then tell you what they said about the results there. So the CIOs said strategic thinking, ability to communicate, ability to influence, building relationships, credibility, ability to inspire, understanding the business culture, accountability, business acumen, which picks up on the financial skills that were mentioned earlier today, ability to identify and nurture talent, ability to promote collaboration, critical thinking, ability to negotiate, ability to set and manage expectations, foresight, diplomacy, cultural awareness, and technical awareness. So that was the list in the order that the CIO said, and you'll note they put technical awareness at the bottom of those 18 lists when it comes to being a successful CIO. So that's great, that's the people in the roles. Then we asked their bosses, the Chief Operating Officers. And the good thing is that there was a fair degree of overlap there, but they picked ability to communicate as the top skill that a CIO should have, with strategic thinking second, ability to influence third, credibility and accountability, and then went down the list. DVC's academic said strategic thinking top, ability to communicate second, understanding the business culture third. So that was one bit where they're pointing to a disconnect between CIOs and others in the professional support roles in universities, not evidencing that they know what the university business is about, i.e. education and research. Building relationships was fourth for them, and business acumen fifth. But amongst those three groups, a fair degree of congruence in what they thought was the most important in order to be successful in the role. DVC's research, so people very interested in the research outcomes of the institution, said strategic thinking 1, so that's CIOs, DVCs R and DVCs A picking strategic thinking as the top one. DVC's research were the outliers. They said technical awareness was the second most important skill, whereas CIOs put it bottom, DVC's corporate put it third bottom, and so did DVC's A. So there's a challenge for the CIO there, and possibly for you and your organisations as well. The different stakeholders will have different expectations of you. But they also said ability to communicate again, and an ability to influence and understanding the business culture. So there's certainly common themes there, and common things with what you said were important as well. So that's what we were talking about at the beginning of 2018. But what we might also think about is that's great for now. Does it stand us in good stead for the future or not? So we know that the 2020 decade is only a little bit over a year away from us now. We've seen a lot of change, a lot of disruption to date. We're going to see more. The 2020 decade is going to show us a whole lot more disruption and change at a faster pace than we've seen so far.
The points that have already been made, and possibly with a focus on Energy Queensland. I am from Energy Queensland. I'm one of the executive team there. We are committed to diversity. Diversity is one of our core values, and what I'll do is bring out some of the themes and points that I'd like to talk about this morning. And really, the intention is for me not to put the answers on the table, because that would be completely presumptuous. Talk about it in terms of experiential diversity, demographic diversity, cognitive diversity, gender diversity. And for me, you need to be mindful of all aspects of diversity when you're looking at this question about how to foster a workplace that's inclusive. And in terms of why it's important, I'm not sure that everybody gets the why yet.
Very small, and then you are not really achieving your full potential. As human beings, you have a much bigger potential than you really realize. So that's why it is important to really aim high, think big, and really work hard and smart. A lot of times when I tell people work hard, but I'm working hard, I'm going nowhere. And I tell them work smart. Try to understand the system. It doesn't matter what you're doing, in which system you're in. What is expected of you in the system where you're working. And try to make sure that you meet those expectations. Your manager wants you something and you're doing something else. You're working very hard, but your manager is not happy with you, or your director is not happy with you, or vice chancellor, or whoever it is, part of the sector you're in. That's why it is important to really understand what's your role and make sure that you do that role well, and then maybe 10% more than what they're expecting you to do. That means you don't have to worry about your job. Your job will always be there, because people don't want to lose you. You're doing the 90% of the job, and then maybe that it's that only small percentage of plus or minus 10% can make a huge difference whether people want you or people don't want you as also. So that's why again it's important to really make sure that you work smart, not only just work hard. So just simply blindly working hard without being smart is not going to help you. So again, a lot of speakers have spoken about I've been sitting in the car and listening to, and the social and communication skills are absolutely critical. You may be great in your technology or whatever you're doing, but if you don't know how to communicate, and your colleague is presenting your work, and they only remember your colleague, not you. Okay? They may say that this is Julie's work, but John is the one who is presenting it. People only remember John, but not John might have mentioned Julie's work, but nobody remembers Julie. So that's why it's very important. Of course, I studied in front of, I studied in a medium called Telugu medium, my mother tongue, till I finished my year 12. English is not my mother tongue.
Here's another historical photo, this time of my own graduating class, well not quite graduating class, this was third year, 1988. The second year of computer systems engineering at the University of Queensland. What a lot of blokes. In fact, only one woman in the cohort, as you can probably pick out. I guess I thought that was just kind of normal at that time, although the women in the group were amongst my closest friends, which I thought was fantastic, but they had a bit of a rough time going through the engineering degree at UQ. It was they were different times, but maybe they're not as different from then as they should be. Now, one of the points I wanted to make, which was summed up actually in this web page,
the absolute numbers. The other thing that's interesting is who leads our country. So there are 146 nations, only 6% have elected female leaders, and it goes up and down quite a lot. But only 2 of them, when I first put this slide together, it was 6. That shows how fragile this is. At the moment, only 2 have held office for more than 5 years. I mean, Angela Merkel retires in 2020. That'll go back to 1, but maybe others will see the Prime Minister of New Zealand hanging in there and maybe getting into that number.
And calling a spade, if you see behaviour that is not good, having the courage to speak up about that in a respectful way. And I know personally that that's an incredibly difficult thing for me to do, and I know that I haven't always done that during my career, and sometimes I don't even recognise the behaviour when it's happening as what it is until I go away afterwards and think about it. And then I have to say, well, okay, what am I going to do about that? And figure that out. But so that's interesting that over 1,000 Australian leaders said those 3 things. So what I'd like you to do now is at your tables, if you could have a discussion on what you think a good leader exhibits, not so much by way of their skills, but the other side of the coin in terms of their attitudes, their behaviours, and how they communicate. So we'll give you around 10 minutes or so to have that discussion and see if you can think about what are the things that you admire, what are those behaviours and attitudes, and then we'll do a round table again and see what everyone came up with. Okay? Yeah, making you work here, Fuad.
important. There are many initiatives that look at improving gender equity in Australia, but it's vital that everybody feels empowered to pursue STEM. So this document, unlike others, or this roadmap, unlike others, empowers everyone. There is a role for all stakeholders, and by the end of it, we hope everyone can see what their role is in that roadmap, and we can be pushing in the same direction. Aside from the moral imperative to bring about change, we have heard many times over the course of this conference, so I won't repeat it in detail, but there is an economic imperative as well. And we really do need to access all the available talent, regardless of who they are or where they are. And there's that last dot point there on the World Economic Forum, which I'll let you read. The report, the roadmap, is a Women in STEM Decadal Plan. That's been a title.
Before I get on to that, I just want to say a big thank you to all our sponsors. In the interest of time, I won't sort of name them individually, but we are very, very grateful for your support, and you've made all of this possible. And can we have all the committee members stand up? The important people who have basically been working very tirelessly for quite a long time this year to bring you the program for these 2 days. I think they deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much. Our sponsors, and okay, just a reminder, recapping, what can you do after today? In terms of certainly the workshops that we've been doing, you can, seek out male sponsors or champions in your workplace and try to see what you and them can do together to bring about cultural change. In terms of your own personal development, perhaps, we certainly have picked up a few tips on how we can update our CV and our online presence, and maybe think about which way we want to take our own career. And also, if you do aspire to certain leadership and executive positions, we've been inspired to identify, okay, what are the skill gaps that we currently have? So maybe the next step you wish to take is to, continue to take on some personal development challenges. But whatever you do, do not just come here, feel good, and go back and do nothing, okay? Promise me that. And in the interest of not going away and not doing anything, just a shameless plug for IEEE Women in Engineering groups. We do have IEEE Women Engineering groups, I think, in most states. The contact details are the ones the one that I lead from Western Australia. However, I am also the Australian Council Women Engineering Forum Coordinator. So if you are from Western Australia, please connect. If you're not from all the other states, feel free to send me an email or connect with any of the other accounts, and I can put you in touch with the group that's local to you, so that you can either get involved and join the committee, or if you don't have that much commitment or time, at least you can be posted on what activities they are organising that you can maybe think about attending. So that's about it. Oh yeah, and our prize draw, Louise. I'd like to introduce to you the wonderful woman who has basically done most of the grunt work to organise this. So,
hi, I'm Louise. I'm actually chairing the organising committee, but due to some medical difficulties, I had to step down the last 4 weeks, and I'm really thankful to my Vice Chair Helene, and Ford, and Webmaster Naila, and Abby for the local committee to really step up and make this happening, because I was really out of action. So thank you again, and I'm really grateful that it turned out to be a great event.